Hi, this is a tutorial for how to make a robot with moving arms in Bloxburg. This version doesn't have a door auto sensor, so it's operated by somebody opening and closing the door in the control room behind the kitchen. Yeah, we really soon got tired of doing that, so then I put on an auto sensor so the door activates and moves the robot arms when someone gets near it. I think that way's more fun and it gives visitors a surprise when they walk up to the robot. Okay, let's get building. I cloned the robot and kitchen and put them down here in the basement to measure everything. For the robot movement, you need a bookshelf secret door. I got inspiration for this from an automated bridge posted by Mr. Robin on Twitter. I used large mosaic tiles for guidelines. You need a raised floor to hide the robot working, so shrink a cube by $21 and make it larger this way by $217 and $238 this way, and place it right against the wall. I only raised the kitchen section of the room so it didn't feel too claustrophobic. Now for the kitchen counter is a beveled cube, make it higher by $28, two of those. Then the front counter is wider by $259 and this way wider by $51. The other cube is $103 and this way by $88. One of the counters sticks through the wall a bit and place them right up against the edge of the cube floor. I'm making a cube to stand in for the robot body when I'm testing the arms. Resize it up by $70 and wider by $28. For the robot arms, use a horizontal beveled cylinder, shrink it by $80 and make two of them. Make one of the arms longer by $231 and this arm's going to sit on a cube, so shrink a cube by $24 and make it longer by $57 and shrink it this way by $21. Place the cube on the bookshelf. The squares may not line up the same way for you depending on which way your room's facing or which way the cube's facing. It's so confusing sometimes. But you can move it later if you need to. Rotate this arm twice on the smallest grid and put it on the bookshelf. I colored it sand green and the material's metal. Now I'm checking how it looks against the fake robot body. Now I'm making a plank for the mop to sit on. Flatten a cube as far as it'll go, then make it longer by $237 and rotate it twice on the small grid. Here's what the other side looks like. We need to expose the mop plank, so shrink the floor by $5. Now we're making the mop handle from a normal cube. Shrink that by $42 in each direction. Rotate it twice on the smallest grid. And then shrink that by $20 in height. The next part of the mop is a beveled vertical cylinder. Flatten it as far as it will go and shrink it this way by $83. Place that on the mop handle, then shrink another section by $7 and put that on top. This piece is raised by $7. For the robot fingers, use a convex straight basic shape. Shrink it down by $74 and then $70 this way and $77 this way, which is the maximum. You need two of those, then rotate one 6 times on the largest grid and 7 times on the smallest grid. The other one rotate 5 times on the largest grid and 3 times on the smallest grid, and then you put them on the mop handle. Now we're doing the robot forearm, so we'll shrink the other part of the arm temporarily by $11 and then place a large round rod. Change it to custom placement and make the starting point right in the middle of that arm. And bring it out to rest on the fingers. Here's how it looks from another angle. Now you need to resize the arm back by $11. Bring up the last part of the mop handle, and then I colored it linen and the material's metal. For the spongy part of the mop, shrink a horizontal wedge down by $13, $25 that way, and $27 that way, which is the maximum. The color's daisy orange and the material's classic carpet. Then you need 2 of those. Rotate one of them 5 times on the large grid and 6 times on the small grid. The other one rotate once on the large grid and 7 times on the small grid. For the other parts of the mop, I used a convex outer corner and shrunk it down by $50 and made it about this big. I used 5 pieces. I haven't measured these pieces because I rotated and resized them so many times while I was placing them. They're all odd shapes and sizes. So you'll just need to play around with them until you get a look that you like. Now I'm testing the moving parts to make sure they are actually moving. Then I'll resize that floor back up, that was $5, and put the counters back. Now we're making the stick that supports the sponge. Shrink it down as far as it'll go in 2 directions and make it $185 longer. For the other robot arm, use the other beveled horizontal cylinder. Make it longer by $324. Rotate it twice on the large grid and put it here on the shelf, as far forward as it'll go. Now to get the sponge support stick sitting on the same level as the mop plank, you need to temporarily take the mop plank off the shelf, put the sponge stick on. This is how it looks from the other side. Then put the mop plank back. I could have just done the sponge first, but I really wanted to get that mop done. Now we're shrinking a cube by the maximum in one direction, by $37 in this direction, and raise it up by $12. Rotate it 7 times on the small grid. Then put it right at the front of the stick. Now we're making the sponge. Shrink a cube down by $38. Shrink it $32 this way and $25 that way. Rotate this one 7 times on the smallest grid as well. Then put it right at the end of the support plank. I coloured this salmon and the texture is classic carpet. Now temporarily shrink the robot's arm by $20 and clone the large round rod from the other arm and start it in the middle, just like before, and put it on the sponge in this position. Then resize that arm back again. Then clone the fingers from the other arm as well and rotate one of them 11 times on the smallest grid and the other one 15 times on the smallest grid. Then I decided to make these ones a little bit wider, so I made each one wider by $3, but I didn't change the ones on the mop. Now for the body. The bust is a beveled vertical cylinder. Shrink it down by $57 and make it wider by $24. The shoulders are also beveled vertical cylinders. Shrink them down by $74 and shrink the width by $67. 2 of those. These parts are going to be floating. The floating trick was invented by somebody called Yellow Carnation a long time before I started Bloxburg. Raise a cube up by $48 and put a bath mat on it. Then place a shoulder next to the arm, then the bust, and then the other shoulder. Then you take away the cube and the mat, and these parts are left floating. Unfortunately, you can't use the floating trick with the moving objects because they won't move with the door if they're floating. Resize another cube up by $21, put it underneath the bust, and then put on the bath mat. The waist is made from inverted wedges. Shrink one down by $17, make it shorter this way by $20, and shorter this way by $17. Rotate one of them 2 times on the large grid, and the other one 6 times on the large grid. Then put them underneath the bust like this. For the sides of the waist, shrink an inverted wedge by $17, by $20 this way, and shrink it by $30 this way. Make 2 of those. One of them's not rotated and the other one's rotated 4 times on the large grid. Then put them under the bust like this. For the hips, raise a cube up by $6. Shrink a beveled vertical cylinder in height by $50 and make it wider by $15. Then place it under the waist. Sit it a little bit back from the bust to give it a more natural look. Now for the feet and legs. Shrink a smooth cube down by $75, which is the maximum. Shrink it this way by $55 and this way by $48. Shrink a convex straight basic shape down by $77, which is the maximum. Shrink it this way by $68 and this way by $63. Make 2 of those. Shrink a beveled vertical cylinder down by $52 and shrink the width by $80 and put it on the foot. Rotate these shapes one twice on the large grid and the other one 6 times on the large grid and put them on either side of the calf. For the thigh, shrink a beveled vertical cylinder in height by $54 and shrink it in width by $74 and put that on the calf. Now you can colour that and clone it from the smooth cube and put it underneath the robot body. I rotated the left leg 3 times on the small grid to give it a more natural pose. Shrink a beveled vertical cylinder down by $96. Shrink the width by $74 and put that on the bust. For the head, use a beveled cube, shrink it down by $51 and shrink it this way by $47 and this way by $49. I don't know why I didn't make it square. And then place it on the neck. Next, resize a cube up by $84. This is to place the ears on. For the ears, use a horizontal cylinder, a normal one, not a beveled one, and shrink it down as far as it will go in both directions and then put it next to the head, right in the middle. Next, we'll temporarily shrink the head to put the eyes in. Shrink it as far as it'll go, which is $47. Shrink a cube by $36 in height. Shrink it $28 this way and $38 this way and put it on the neck. Next, get a baby rattle from the baby and kids section and rotate it 3 times on the large grid, 2 of those. Then move them up to the edge of the cube. To place the mouth, raise the cube up $81. The mouth is a convex, straight, basic shape. Shrink it down as far as it'll go, $77. Shrink it this way by $67. And this way by $68. And put it on the carpet so you can barely see it. I coloured the mouth medium red and the texture's metal. The eyes are slime green and lily white, but you can't change the texture. Then you can shrink the head back again by the same amount, $47. Then you need to shrink the head down by $9 to place the antennae. Raise the cube up by $124 and put it near the head. For the antennae, use a small round rod. Start the placement in the middle of the head and bring it up so it just rests on the cube. I placed each one on a slightly different angle and made one a little bit shorter than the other so they didn't look too even. Raise the head back up by $9 and that's it. That's the robot done. Yay! I coloured the floor cadet blue and the materials metal. To make the counter usable, you have to put a real counter inside it, so shrink it down as far as it'll go, that's $147. Just get the cheapest counter, the basic counter. Now when you place the counter, the side of the counter you have to stand on when you're using it is the side facing the front of your plot. Imagine the cube is me. I want to stand on the outside of the L shape and not get stuck behind the robot. So I'm rotating this counter 6 times on the large grid, so it's facing the right way. Then put it in position. Then shrink the other beveled cube down to the maximum too, that's $184. Clone the counter and rotate it twice. Put that into position. Then I put in a sink so I can wash my hands. Then put the cube counters back to their normal size, so $184 and $147. I coloured the wool pastel yellow and the counters cool yellow and the materials metal. For the counter trim, I shrunk a bevel cube down by $28 and shrunk it this way as far as it'll go. And the colour's storm blue and the material's metal. 5 of those. Make this one longer by $259. This one $201. This one $51. This one $62. And this one $43. Another wall and some stepped crown moulding. That's storm blue and the material's cozy fabric. I used the cheapest stove and fridge and coloured them bright colours. Then I put some beveled cube around the stove to soften the sharp edges. Then I put a microwave on a cube raised up by $40 and poked it through the wall and coloured it the same colour as the wall. Place the door auto sensor and you see this is the area here where people will trigger the door when they walk in front of it. Now the problem with using rattles for eyes is this play with button pops up when you stand near it unless you turn off your interact tooltip. But if you do that, then you can't use the counter. So I turned on my tooltip and I've decided to change the eyes. Shrink the head down by $47 again. Raise the eye cube up by $3. And shrink 2 cubes down by $28 and make them skinny. Place standard round rods for the eyes. Then you can remove those extra cubes, resize the head, and colour the eyes slime green. Yeah, that looks okay. The last thing to place is a bubble machine from the electronics section. Rotate it 6 times on the large grid and place it right against the wall so the bubbles come out on the other side. Now for a final test. But please be careful around the robot because the robot arms are very strong and accidents do happen. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Bye!